Are live on Facebook, and we are going to talk about how to make $10,000 on a property that you don't own, right? That you don't own, with no money out of pocket. Nothing out of pocket for you, not a dime out of pocket. So how can you make $10,000 on a deal with no money out of pocket? That's what we're going to talk about here in this Facebook Live. I've got you, I got Periscope over here, and I've got the whiteboard. I'm basically going to break it down. So first off, I want to tell you the concept, because you have to understand the concept first. If you don't understand the concept, what I'm about to show you on this whiteboard is not going to make sense whatsoever. So here's the deal. I thought you had to have cash and credit to make money in real estate. Okay, I thought you had to have cash and credit. So my preconceived notion was that you had to have a 700, 800 credit score, and you had to have a pile of money. Because the only idea I knew about making money in real estate was through fixing and flipping properties. Like you watch HGTV and those guys get on there and flip and flop, and they buy this house and they renovate it and they turn around and sell it, and it gives all your numbers and stuff like that. Or you buy through rental properties. So what happened is now they didn't have those shows, back in 2003 when I got started in real estate. But the bottom line is, I thought you made money fixing and flipping. Well, when you fix and flip a property, first off, you got to go buy the thing, and typically you have to buy it cash, right? You got to have cash to put down. You have to go get a loan on the property, whether it be hard money or private money financing or whatever. And then you have to have the capital to put in the renovations and stuff like that. And then you have to have the money, the holding costs to turn around and sell it. Well, guess what? For me, when I first got started, that was a massive barrier of entry because I had terrible credit and I had no money. So that I could not get involved in fix and flip, and I didn't have the information or know-how to go out and do that. So the other side of the coin was, how do you make money in real estate, right? When you're buying and hold a property like a rental, right? So I looked at rental properties and I said, okay, well, I can buy the property. You still have to get financing. You still have to have credit. You still have to have a down payment, right? And then you have to turn around and wait for appreciation, right? And then get a couple $100 a month cash flow. Now that didn't excite me whatsoever. So the only other way I knew to make money in real estate was be a real estate agent. So my wife actually got me a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, said, hey, go read this. And I read the book, and I was like, I don't want to be a real estate agent. Nothing against them. Real estate agents are phenomenal. We work with them every day. The bottom line is, I didn't want to go out on weekends and represent anybody and do this. So I was like, I don't want a real estate license. So what happened was I thought I was out of real estate. I thought I couldn't participate because I didn't have cash and credit. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go build my credit, and I'm going to go build some cash, and I'm going to try to do this business. So it was a long ways down the road. So at the time, I was in a business where I was selling landscaping in pools, right? So I would go to someone's house and I would design a pool, design all their landscaping, sell them the package, and then I made a commission off that. So I was driving to an appointment on a Saturday afternoon, going to a house way the heck out in the middle of nowhere. I was flipping through the radio stations, and this guy was telling me on the radio, and I was flipping through the radio stations and looking for sports or something like that, and I came across 1510 KFNN, which is a financial news radio network here in Phoenix. And this guy was on there talking about how you could flip houses using no cash and no credit. So right there, my mind, right, and I almost put myself in the eye, my mind was like, that can't be done. It's impossible, right? So first off, I was skeptical. See, and I'm originally from New England. I was born a skeptic. My dad is the biggest skeptic. He was known for being a devil's advocate, and guess what? I was too. So what happened was, I'm sitting there listening to this guy, and he's talking about how you could use no cash, no credit to turn around and flip houses. And I'm like, yeah, right. What? There's no way. You can't do that. So then I actually turned the channel. But before I did, this is what put me over the edge. This guy started talking about, right, he had testimonials of people on there making $10,000, $20,000, even $30,000 flipping houses, and they were going, oh my gosh, it was incredible, and here's my, talking about their stories and how much money they made, and they did it in 7 days and 15 days and 40 days, whatever. I was like, there's no way that can be done. That is a joke. There's absolutely no way. And I flipped the channel and I turned the channel and I started driving down the freeway looking for something to listen to, right? So the bottom line is I was skeptical. See, when your brain is closed it's just like a parachute. If a parachute is closed, it doesn't work. If your mind's closed, it doesn't work. But I thought I knew what I knew, and obviously it got to me where I was because I was dead broke at the time, and I was closed-minded, right? Because I thought I knew what I knew. Well, what happened was is I actually had an intuition. I turned the channel back, and I continued to listen to what this guy had to say, and he explained the concept that I'm going to explain to you right now. This concept is the concept of flipping houses or wholesaling, doing with no cash and no credit. Now, and he explained how if you have a contract, right? A contract, that's a contract. A contract on a property, if you have a contract on a property, you have a controlling interest in that property, right? A controlling interest. You have equitable controlling interest. A seller only can sell to one person. So I didn't know that. I had no idea. They had controlling interest. And he talked about different distressed sellers. So I'm going to give the phone to Aaron here real quick. There we go. So basically, I'm going to explain the concept. Why don't you come close, Aaron, and let's talk about what we're going to talk about here. Okay, so the bottom line is, and I've got Periscope over here. So basically, the bottom line is that he explained this concept of wholesaling houses. He explained the concept of flipping houses. People go, "What's the difference between flipping houses and wholesaling houses?" There's really no difference. If you're fixing and flipping, that's a difference. If you're flipping houses, there's no difference. Right? And what you can do, and I'm going to show you how to do this, how to make 10 grand with no cash and no credit out of your pocket, right? So when he started talking about this concept and the idea of having a contract on a house, right? A contract's an incredibly important thing. A seller can only sell to one person. They only can sell. So you sign a contract on a house, you control that house for whatever the price is and whatever the term of that contract is. But what happens is, who is going to sell their house at a discount? That's what I want to know. Who the heck is going to sell their house at a $100,000 house for $50,000 or a $200,000 house for $100,000? Who is going to do that? Distressed sellers. Okay. So here's the deal. There are 3 types of distress, and we as wholesalers can target those distress via direct mail, online marketing methods, even free methods to go out and find distressed sellers. But here's the thing is you got to understand is that 95%, almost 97% are going to sell their house retail, okay? They're going to sell their house retail. They're going to call an agent. They're going to list their property. They're going to put it out on the market. They're going to have people come over. They're going to show the property, and they're going to get the top price for the property, right? 95 to 97% of the people are going to do that. You and I would do that. We would call a realtor because we're not in distress. There's 3%, 3 to 5% that are in distress. What type of distress? We've got circumstantial distress. It could be divorce situation, could be death in the family, could be inheritance, could be a probate situation, could be a fire damage property. You know, there's a bunch of circumstantial reasons someone could be in distress, right? That is a distress. There's also financial distress. That they could be stopped paying their mortgage to the property. That's called pre-foreclosure. Tax default is when they stop paying their property taxes, right? That's financial default. Could be late on their mortgage payments and stuff, late on their credit card payments, right? 30, 60, 90-day late. That's distress. So that's financial distress. We got circumstantial distress, and then we got property physical distress. Now, the property physical distress, you could have a fire damage property. You could have, you could have the place is just a nasty house, tall weeds, vacant property, boarded up. Those are all financial distress. So those 3 distress, guess what? You can target those, and those sellers, the 3 to 5%, will sign a contract for, you know how much earnest money you can put down on those? Guess. So you got Periscope over here, right? How much earnest money you have to put down on those? $10. So people go, I don't have money for earnest money. If you target distress, like I'm talking about, those 3 different distress, circumstantial, financial, and physical distress, they will sign, if they have a vacant house with tall weeds, and they'll just say, hey, get this property off my hands. I want to get rid of it. Give them, they make a couple $1,000 on it, whatever. You can sign a contract for $10 on those deals. $10. 90% of the contracts we do, we have $10 earnest money. Okay, $10. So now you sign a contract that gives you controlling equitable interest in the property, which is incredibly important because the seller can only sell to one person. They can't sell to 10 different people. They only can sell to one. So they give you equitable interest in the property. Now you sign a contract. On this contract, right here, Aaron, right? So you got this contract right here. On this contract, there's a price. Let's call it, right, $50,000. Now let's say the house is worth, theoretically, $100,000. Let's say the house is worth $100,000, all fixed up, right? But now, right, because they're in distress. See, and people come in and they say, oh, I've sent out letters, I've talked to sellers, I've done that. I don't know. They all want retail, right? Well, the problem is you're talking to the 95, 97% that are just going to list their house. When you start talking to distressed sellers, this whole business will completely change for you, I tell you. So now you got a distressed seller. So let's say it's a vacant property. And they literally just walked away. They got the tall weeds. Electricity hasn't been on forever. Water hasn't been on forever. $50,000, you sign the contract. You put a $10, right, earnest money deposit down, right? That 10 bucks. $50,000. The house is worth, after repair value, fixed up, ARV, the house is worth, which is ARV, after repair value, the house is worth $100,000. So that means if someone buys it and they put granite countertops, they put stainless steel appliances, they put 8-inch baseboards, they put wood floors, they put a new roof on the thing, new AC cleaning, whatever, they get the place up to 2017 standard, it's worth $100,000. You know what? It might cost them 15, 20 grand to do it. Who knows? So the bottom line is you get the contract for 50, right? On that contract, there's the money and then there's time, right? So you got here's a little clock right there. So you got the time, and the time on there is, say, 30 days, right? Now, what happens is on this contract, people go, oh my gosh, what if I sign a contract to buy a house for $50,000 and I don't have $50,000? Well, guess what? In this contract, you can have what's called an out clause. Now, an out clause is incredibly important. An out clause allows you to get out of the contract, no harm, no foul, if you can't find a buyer for the property. So what's the out clause? It's called a 30-day inspection period. Okay, 30-day inspection period. So you get a 30-day contract, 30 days to close, 30-day inspection period. So that inspection period allows you to inspect the property, do whatever you want, and get out of the property, no matter what, no harm, no foul, in 30 days, right? So now, you got 30 days. Now you can take this property, you have equitable interest in the property, you can start talking to buyers. You can start talking to real estate agents that may have buyers. You can start put on Craigslist, right, and start having people call in. You know, one of the best things is, you know, you got people that, some buyers, right, in the area down at the courthouse steps. Those guys are all down there bidding on properties. They pay cash and they can close quickly. I bring a flyer down there and I go down there and guess what? I say, hey, I got this property for sale. And I've sold tons of properties that way. You got real estate investment clubs. You bring a flyer there, you start talking to people, you'll get that property sold. If you get a good deal, this property will sell. If you get a $100,000 house for 50 grand, you will sell that thing in lightning speed. Now, so this is important. This is key right here. Now you get the contract, you got a 30-day closing, 30-day inspection period. That means if for some reason you can't sell the property or whatever, you're out. You can exercise your inspection period, say, you know what, I couldn't find a funding partner, I couldn't find a cash buyer for the property, I am out of the deal, no harm, no foul. Now that you put it out, and let's say you go to your real estate investment club, let's say you go down to the county courthouse steps where they auction off properties. Let's say you go do all that, right, and you find a buyer, right, and you put on it right here that the buyer for $60,000. Right? So you have a contract right here, and now you have a contract here with a buyer for $60,000, right? So, and this contract could be your state's, your state's contract. It could be you're in California, use the California state contract. You're in Detroit, or you're in St. Louis, you're in Florida, you're whatever. Use your state's residential real estate contract that their agents use, right? So now you have a contract here. Right? Contract here. Now, on this contract with your buyer, this is your buyer contract right here. Right? With your buyer contract, The time frame on this guy right here is 7 days. And he's going to put down for money $2,500 non-refundable. Right? So he's going to put down $2,500 non-refundable. He's going to close in 7 days. So you got 30 days with your seller, 7 days with your buyer. Now, why is a buyer going to purchase a property, right, and close in 7 days and pay cash? Why? Because there's $40,000 in potential equity. Let me ask you a question. Well, you got my phone. But the stock market's flying off the shelf, right? I think last time I looked at Apple was $136 a share. If I told you could buy Apple for $80 a share, would you jump all over it? Of course you would. You jump all over Apple for $80 a share. And then if you put it out to the market and you said you're going to sell it for $100 a share, $36 below market, do you think you could sell it quickly? You'd have people lining up buying shares. It's the exact same thing. The only difference in the stock market, it's called insider trading. It's illegal. With this, it's not. You can get a house, $100,000 house for 50 grand. I've got a $100,000 house for 20, 15, 20 grand. Happens all the time. So the bottom line is now you put it out to the market, you see what the market wants, and then boom, 60 grand. They got a closing day, 7 days, and they like it. They want that equity. They want that deal, $2,500 non-refundable. Now you take both of these contracts, you bring them down to a title company. You got a title company, and the title company is in like if you're in Atlanta, it's an attorney. If you're in like New Jersey, it's attorney. New York, it's attorney. Chicago, it's attorney. Most of the other states, they're either escrow agents or title companies. And what they do, right? What they do is they facilitate all the money and they facilitate all the paperwork. So what happens is you bring your contracts to them, they'll handle everything else. They'll pull the title, they'll make sure it's all clean, they'll call the buyer for signatures, they'll call the seller for signatures, you'll come in and they'll handle everything for you. They'll do all the paperwork, everything, and handle all the money for you, right? So they'll do all that for you, which is great. And you gotta get them the contract. So now you give them a contract, and now what we're gonna do is let's talk about closing day. Now, what happens on closing day, there's 3 ways to get paid using no cash, no credit out of your pocket whatsoever, right? 3 ways to get paid, right? And so what's gonna happen is you're gonna bring it to the title company, they're gonna get everything. They're gonna call the seller, the seller's gonna come in and sign the docs. It's not all done on the same day. It's going to be done on different times, right? It might be done on the same day, but it's different times. Like the seller might come in at 11, the buyer might come in at 1 o'clock, and you might come in at 3 o'clock, and then boom, now we have all the signatures on all the pages so you can close. But what's going to happen is we have to instruct the title company how we want to handle the transaction. This is a key point, listen in. So we either can do an assignment, right? So what's an assignment? An assignment is where we are going to sell our contract. So in this particular case, we're going to sell our buyer our contract for $10,000. We're selling it for $10,000. So just picture an assignment as you're selling your contract, right? Just like if you had your stocks and Apple's $136 and you got all the stocks at $100,000. Apple's at 136, but you get 10,000 shares for $100, and you're going to sell your shares. It's the same thing, right? It's the same exact thing. You're selling your contract for $10,000. Okay. So now the company will prepare an assignment document, right? With the buyer there, they're going to convert the contract into an assignment, and boom, you'll get $10,000, and now he'll buy the property. Because $10,000 goes to you and the other $50,000 goes to the seller. Well, 10 plus 50 equals $60,000. Here's contract price, and then you're going to close. So you would essentially sell, right, your contract. Sell your contract. It's incredibly important. It's very easy. It's typically a 1 page. They call it an assignment, a nominee, a statement where you nominate the buyer. Title companies do it all the time. They know exactly what you're talking about. Assignments are done all day long, twice on Sunday. The second thing is what's called double escrow, okay? A double escrow, or what's called a simultaneous close. Simultaneous means back to back. That means what's going to happen in this scenario is we're going to use the buyer's funds. So here's what happens on closing day. Closing day, everybody signs, then the buyer's called by the title company to wire in $60,000 plus his closing cost. So what happens is he will wire in $60,000 plus his closing cost and wire into the title company. So 60 grand gets wired into the title company. Now the title company will take the money and they will distribute it, right? They'll distribute 50,000 to your seller, right? And they'll distribute 10,000 to you. Okay? They're going to handle all the money. So 60,000 comes in, and then what they're going to do is they're going to give the title to the property to the buyer. So what's going to happen now is the seller happy? They get $50,000. They're psyched. They get their $50,000, their contract price. They did everything. They're good to go. Are you happy? You made $10,000, and you got a $10 earnest money out of pocket, and that's it. You guys getting this? This is when I figured this blew my mind that you could do this. Now, double escrow. You're using the buyer's funds to close the transaction. The buyer wires in the money, of which the title company facilitates. They wire $50,000 to the seller. They give you a $10,000 check, and now the buyer gets the title to the property for 60 grand. Double escrow. The third way is what's called transactional funding. That's when a funding company, we have a transactional funding company, we can refer you to transactional funders that can help you do this. But what they will do is they will come in, right? They will come in as long as the buyer has their money. So the title company is right here. So they'll call the buyer will wire in $60,000, and once he does that, the transactional funding company will wire in $50,000, close this transaction, now you'll own it for a second, and then immediately turn around and sell it to the buyer, okay? So now what's gonna happen is you're gonna get the $10,000 less the fees, which is roughly 3 points, 2.5, 3 points. So now you're gonna walk away with 7 grand, because you used the transactional funding. You're gonna use their money to close the transaction, and then immediately sell to the buyer, okay? And then these guys, the title company is gonna facilitate the entire transaction. This guy's now gonna get the title. You're going to get $7,000, which is the $10,000 less the fees, and the seller's going to get $50,000, and everyone's going to be happy. Okay, this is the third way. This, if you can't do assignment or double escrow or a title company or an attorney won't allow you to do these, then the third way is transactional funding. The bottom line is you still made $7,000 with a $10 earnest money deposit. So here's what I want to tell you. This is where it gets exciting, because now this is what I love, right? I love now it becomes, how do you find the sellers? How do you fill out the contract correctly? How do you locate the distress? What type of direct mail piece do you use? What type of mail list do you hit? Do you hit a vacant list? Do you hit a pre-foreclosure? Do you hit a tax default list? Do you hit a blanket list? Do you hit an absentee owner? What type of list do you hit? How do you get good at negotiating and talking to sellers? Can you do it over the phone? Can you do it in person? Do you have to know sellers' personality types? Do you have to get into it? How do you find the buyers? What if you could build an email list of buyers? So here's our business. We do these deals, right? 10 to 15 to 20 of these deals every single month. We have a gigantic buyers list of 34,000 names. We press a button in the email and all our properties go out to 30,000+ people, and we sell our properties in minutes. If it's a smoking deal, our property will sell in minutes, right? Our contracts right here, I got 2 sales guys who go out into 20 appointments a week, and they're going out bringing contracts back every single week, right, from sellers. And then we turn around, and I got a whole entire team that facilitates the whole thing that does millions and millions of dollars in revenue through this entire process. So you can scale it to as big as you want. So think about it, you have an entire team, you got marketing going out, you got someone answering the phone, you got someone going on appointments, someone to talk to the sellers, and the whole thing is just churning, right? Now you have an incredible business that if you want to go hang out to the beach for a couple weeks, you can, and you still get deposits coming in your account. I was just in Cabo San Lucas with a bunch of the top industry leaders, right, that do wholesaling. We're at a Cabo San Lucas. I got wires coming in my account for deals that I'm in Cabo that are happening here in my office in Phoenix, right? That's why I love this business so much. Now, you can take that extra cash flow and you can plow it in to cash flow properties that can literally create residual income for the rest of your life and your future family's life. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I have to jet because I got to go to my daughter's tennis match right now on the other side of town, but I wanted to share this with you. I thought it was incredibly important. I hope you guys liked it, and I'm going to see you here tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Probably not tomorrow, but the next day, on Friday. We'll do another live cast, so keep posted. There's a link on this page. I got a webinar I did, and we're going to be doing it either live, either later today, tomorrow, next day, but there's a link, right? There's going to be a link on this, if you guys are watching this link. Watch the webinar. I explain this in detail, exactly how you can do it and how you can turn around and build this business, make huge checks with no cash out of pocket. So thank you guys so much. Take care, and God bless.